NFL starts this weekend, so let's play a game of Who You Got. Hey, Jeff Darlington, Jets-Niners, the opening Monday night game in San Francisco. Who you got?
I got the Jets, and I'm not just doing it to kiss the host's butt. This is about the fact that I believe that they will be exorcising some demons from last year. This game means so much to the Jets. I believe this is their Super Bowl. The problem with that is I also believe that the 49ers will ultimately be in the real Super Bowl. But for now, Greeny, this is your week.
I'll settle for just no one important getting hurt. Honestly, I'll take that. Mike T, Steelers, Falcons, Sunday. Who you got?
I got the Pittsburgh Steelers winning the game. You know, all offseason we talked about what the Steelers can't do, but how about what they can do? They can run the ball and they can rush the passer. Where does Atlanta struggle? Their rush defense, and I think their tackles are going to struggle with Highsmith and TJ Watt. Look for Arthur Smith to get a game ball in the Steeler locker room after this game.
Yeah, that's a revenge game in a big way for the former Atlanta coach. Swagu, Packers, Eagles, Friday night in Brazil. Who you got?
I'm taking the Eagles, man. Listen, I think the Eagles are going on a revenge tour. Last year was more about their culture, not the players. We know how good this football team is. This roster is still really, really good. And you add Saquon Barkley to the mix. They just need to get back to doing what Jalen Hurts does at a high level and finding that identity for this football team. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles will be squarely in the hunt to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl at the end of the year.
All right, so I sort of do too. But let's dive into that one a minute here. Let's stop down on that one because a huge part of the culture, of the successful culture of the Eagles over the last decade or so is going to be sitting next to you on Monday nights, Marcus Spears, right? I mean, that Jason Kelce no longer there. So here's the question I came up with this morning. On Friday night, when we all sit down to watch this game, what will you, as a former player, Marcus, be looking for that will tell you, yeah, whatever was going so wrong late last season has been fixed? Can we see that in the opening game? And if so, what is it we're looking for that will tell us that?
Gee, you ask great questions all the time, but that's a great question. One, demeanor, right? The energy and the juice from this football team. The command that Jalen Hurts will have when there's pressure being brought to him offensively. They struggled with that last year. Identity-wise, will they get back to RPO and creating those advantages that they were able to create 2 seasons ago, now that you have a dynamic runner in Saquon Barkley back there with Jalen Hurts as well? And miss me with this, well, we want Jalen Hurts to be a drop-back guy, and we want to continue to progress. We want to keep him out of harm's way. We absolutely do. But what makes you almost indefensible is the fact that you have both of those guys now in the backfield, and teams have to respect that. I want to see identity. I want to see a physical nature of football at the offensive line of scrimmage like we saw them do. I'm not talking about just the tush-push play. There was a lot of space created for this football team as well. But the first thing I want to see is this team having a good time playing football. And I can't wait until I talk to Jason on Monday, because I know we're going to talk about the Philly game that's happening Friday in Brazil. Will these guys get back to that energy that we saw 2 years ago, playing for each other, enjoying the game? You have sideline spats every season. I'm not worried about that. But will there be an identity offensively, and will they enjoy playing the game? Last year on the sideline during that downfall, it looked like no one wanted to be there. I want to see a difference in that this year.
Jeff, what have you heard out of their camp? What sense are you getting? They have the new coordinators, the new piece, obviously, in Saquon. What have you heard out of there?
Yeah, this is the most important game of week 1. And I say that because of what I heard out of there. This team has to get their chemistry back. They have been working all offseason on that. Nick Sirianni knows he has to get more out of Jalen Hurts in terms of locker room leadership, and Sirianni himself knows he needs to get more leadership out of himself within this locker room. This team went through an epic collapse last year. We can talk about the Chiefs and the Ravens and how much that game means the rest of the season. Forget it. Both those teams are going to be alive and well at the end of the regular season. This is the game, to Marcus's point, where you are setting momentum in place. You are changing the dynamic and the narrative about the rest of the season. To me, this is the most important game of the NFL season for week 1.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm going to go the other side of the ball. I think an indice of how they are on defense is how they rally to the ball and if they tackle when you see a lot of hats going to the ball carrier. Last night was a good example of that. USC with Dan Lin sort of revamped their defense, and we have to see that from that side of the ball. And to me, that's about effort. Rex Ryan talked about that all the time. And by the way, on offense, I was fortunate to be around Mike Pouncey, Nick Mangold, Kevin Mawai. Centers can erase a lot of problems. I think they're going to be okay, but Jason Kelsey's presence was really something very, I think, was taken for granted what he's able to do.
Yeah, I mean, the names on the backs of the jerseys of those offensive linemen suggest they should still be a very good group. That should be a good offensive line. I'm with you, Jeff. It is the most interesting game because some of us, including the two of us sitting here, love Green Bay this year. And
well, there you have it straight from the pros themselves. Will the Eagles start the season flying high in the first ever NFL game played in Brazil with their revamped defense starring Pro Bowl running back Saquon Barkley and former first-round pick wide receiver Jahan Dotson? Will the offensive line continue its reign of dominance without longtime starter Jason Kelce? Can the defense stop the young, talented Packers offense? We'll just have to wait and see on Friday. That's all we have for today. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe for more updates and analysis on your favorite NFC East teams and players. I'm your host Big Trippy, and we'll see you next time.